Hey class, today we're going to be talking about first, how are cones and cylinders alike or not alike? Hopefully you answered questions with alike, seeing as they both have a circle. They also both are 3D shapes. What else can you think of that makes them alike? Now, obviously, they're not exactly alike because a cone has only one circle part and the other part comes down to a point. Okay, so we've got the cylinder comes down to a point with only one circle, whereas the cylinder had two circles on the bases, the top and the bottom. All right, well, today we are going to talk about these similarities and differences to help us figure out more about a cone. So what we're going to do is we're going to start, go ahead and do your best drawing of a cylinder. All right, now a cylinder, as we remember from yesterday, we found the volume by finding the area of the base times the height, which meant that we did the base is pi times radius squared times the height gives us volume. All right, now what I want you to do is watch as we take a look at this cylinder, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to shave the sides. Okay, cut off this part and shave the side on the other side, cut off that part so that all that's left is a cone. Now what I want you to notice is that when I took these parts out, we ended up with 1, 2, 3 sections of the shape if I cut it into pieces like that. But we only want one of those sections to be part of the cone. The other 2 sections can go away. Now what that looks like in our formula is we're going to take the volume of a regular cylinder, but to make it a cone, we're just going to divide it by 3. So we're going to do the same thing that we would do to find the volume of a cylinder, but then when we shave off the sides, we just divide by 3 and we're left with a cone all by itself. Okay, that's great, but let's go ahead and try one. Okay, so I have a cone, and this cone has a radius of 4 and height of 5. Now, notice that when I did the height, I didn't use the slanty line for the height. I had to have just a straight line from the top to bottom. Like when you take your own height, you make sure you stand up straight and measure. We don't want to have the slanty height. We want the straight up and down height. Okay, now I know I turned that shape a little bit, so let's look at it sideways so we can see that that straight up and down is our height. Sometimes the height is also drawn as little dotted lines straight down the middle so that you know that it is also straight. Okay, so either of these will be the height, just not the slanty part. Okay, sorry to slow you down. Now we have ourselves a cone, and we're going to use our formula, and we're just going to type it in. So we're going to have our pi. Then we need the radius. The radius is 4. Then we need the height, which is 5. Now, because it's a cone, we are going to divide that answer by 3. Okay, so let's do this in pieces. Okay, I'm going to do the top part first. Then when I get my answer, then I'll divide by 3 as my second part. Okay, so let's get the calculator and let's see how this works. Okay, so first I'm going to take pi times 4 squared times the height is 5. Oops, I forgot to write 5 down right there. I should have had the 5 instead of the h. Whoops. All right, so I've got all of my numbers and I got an answer. That's part 1. Now for part 2, I'm going to go ahead and take this answer right here and I'm going to divide by 3. And when I do that, I got an answer of 83.77. Now, as I'm rounding, that 7 right there is going to make this one round up. So my final answer is going to be 83.8. Okay, that's all well and good. Let's have another cone and have you try using that formula. Okay, so here's the cone. And we're going to have a radius of 8 and a height, okay, straight up and down height, is going to be 10. Now go ahead and pause and do as much as you can. Go. All right, so it should have had pi times, the radius was 8 squared, times the height of 10. Then when that's all done, we're going to divide by 3. Did you get the formula right? All right, because if you get this part right, it's all calculator work from here. So let's let the calculator do some calculating. Pi times 8 squared times 10 gives me this answer right here. Then I'm going to go ahead, because it's a cone, I'm going to divide my answer by 3. And I get 670.20. So when I round that, I'm going to round it to 670.2. Now, in case you're wondering, when we label our answer, let's say these are centimeters. This is a 3-dimensional shape. So we would put a 3 next to the centimeters. And you would read it 670.2 centimeters cubed, or cubic centimeters. All right, how are we doing? Let's go ahead and check with another one. This time, we're going to have the diameter instead of the radius. So let's say I have a diameter of 15 and a height of 3. Okay, now when I'm given the diameter like this, we can't just start filling in our formula. Now the formula's on the other page, so I'm going to take a second and write it. Now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to take our diameter, and before we can use it in our formula, we're going to need to cut it in half. So what is half of 15? All right, that is 7.5 is our radius. Now that we have our radius, we are ready to fill in our formula as best as we can. Go ahead and go. All right, what you should have done was said we have pi times, the radius was 7.5 squared, times the height, which was 3, and we should take all of that and divide it by 3. All right, let's try that on our calculator and see what we get. All right, so you should have taken pi first times 7.5 squared times 3. And we got 530.14. Now we're not done yet. We still have to remember the bottom part. We need to divide by 3. And that gives us 176.7. The 1 makes us leave the 7 the same. So there it is. All right, now let's check and make sure you've got it before we move on. So this one, we will have a radius of 11 and a height, I'm going to draw the height straight down the middle, a height of 12. Try this one on your own. Go. Okay, so what you should have done was taken pi times 11 squared times 12, then divided the whole thing by 3. So let's see what that is in our calculator. Pi times 11 squared times 12 gives us this answer. That's the top part. Then we need to go ahead and divide by 3. And there we have it. Our final answer is 1,520 and 0.5 because the 3 leaves it alone. All right, now that we've tried a few of these together, you're ready to try your worksheet. When you do your worksheet, this is about as much of work that I'm going to expect to see when I look at it, and the rest is going to be done in your calculator. All right, good luck and have a great day.